Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Daryl here. It's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. It's bright and early. I haven't even shaved yet because I want to talk about Bob Woodward's book, Rage. Of course I do. All right. These are recorded conversations between Bob Woodward and Donald Trump. Donald Trump knew he was being recorded. Let's get that all right out in front. All right, most of you, I look at the analytics, and a lot of you guys are around my age, a little younger. In 1980, let's go back to 1980. I was 14 years old. To 1990, I was 24 years old. Those were the years of my coming of age, man. I first started dating. I first started everything, let's just say. Let's just leave it there. And I remember, I was old enough to remember the 1970s and the decade, the love and the streaking and everything that went on in the 1970s. And all of a sudden, 1980 comes and my world crashes just as I'm coming of age. Nope. Now sex is deadly. just as I'm turning 14 or 15. Yeah, that sucked. Okay, now imagine this, in all seriousness. Imagine if Ronald Reagan, instead of telling the entire country, and the CDC telling the entire country, look, you get this, you die. It's a death sentence. And that caused a lot of hysteria. It did, but people needed to know this because they needed to know this. And it did cause a lot of hysteria through the country. But imagine if he didn't do that. Imagine if people thought it was no worse than a regular STD. What if Ronald Reagan came on TV and said, "Look, got this new disease out. We're just finding out about it. It's like an STD. It's not much worse than syphilis. We're gonna have a vaccine soon. It's really not much worse." Imagine if he said that. Can you imagine where we'd be now if Ronald Reagan had said that back then? Well, we don't really have to imagine because we're there now. Now, look, I'm going to be honest and straight with you guys. There is a difference between HIV and COVID-19, of course. HIV had a lot higher mortality rate, of course. But imagine if Ronald Reagan had downplayed it because he didn't want to scare, because the country was terrified, but with good reason. But imagine if he wanted to downplay it a little bit because he didn't want to hurt the economy. Got to think about money before people. Imagine if he had done that. I honestly can't. Imagine the millions of Americans more that would have died. New York would have been annihilated. California would have been annihilated. I could hear you conservatives saying, "Oh, it wouldn't have been a great loss." So that's what Donald Trump did. There's recordings of him. There's recording of him, and Bob Woodward talks about how he was told that COVID-19 is a national security threat, a threat to the United States, the security of the United States of America. It is a security threat. And he said Donald Trump's head popped up. So that means somewhere in that hamster wheel, he realized, national threat, bad. And yet, a few days later, he came out and told America, look, it's not much worse than, it's not much worse than the virus. We're going to have a vaccine soon. Because he didn't want to scare America. And even worse than that, even up until last week, he's making fun of Joe Biden for social distancing. Because Joe Biden held a rally with circles on the floor where people that showed where to stand safely away from each other. In these rallies, you're standing with people you do not know from anywhere. If I was at that rally, I would be thankful. These aren't your family, your family and friends at this rally. These people could be from anywhere. They could have come back from anywhere that's got an outbreak of COVID-19. Do I want my 74-year-old mother to come down with COVID-19 because I gave it to her because I stood too close to somebody? No. I'd want to die if I ever did that. I'd be thankful to Joe Biden for putting these circles on the floor. But what does Donald Trump do? He makes fun of Joe Biden for doing this. Did you see those in that goofy when he tries to he plays to the audience? Donald Trump plays to the audience. He tries to be like a comedian, and he mocks other people, and he gets a feedback from his ignorant Trump supporters in the audience. And the more feedback he gets, the more he plays into it. And he did that with these Joe Biden's social distancing. And this was just last week. Can you imagine if Ronald Reagan did that? What if Ronald Reagan came out when he was running for re-election in 1984 and made fun of people for wearing condoms? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if Ronald Reagan came out and made fun of people for wearing condoms or for abstaining from intimacy? Can you imagine if he did that? Well, you don't have to imagine. We have a president now that's actually doing that. So I thought about all this too. Without a doubt, this is the third day in a row now that these new allegations are coming out that are just mind-blowing about Donald Trump, the army, what he said about POWs, what he said about religion and the evangelicals and all that, and now what he said about how he's handled the COVID-19. These have come out one after the other. And of course, it goes through my mind about why this is happening. And people are going to say, well, the election's coming up. They're trying to smear Donald Trump. I thought about that long and hard. I think there's a lot of people that see how badly, that are truly scared, are truly frightened, they realize the magnitude of what will happen if this man is allowed to continue this for another 4 years. And I believe everybody, people with a conscience that care about the country, are coming forward with things they might not have talked about before because they don't want to get involved in politics. They don't want to be the focus of all this national attention. They don't want people calling them liars or this or that. But now, when the chips are down, and there's a possibility that this man is going to be around for 4 more years leading this country down this path, people are coming out with everything they know. I imagine these people couldn't live with themselves if they held some of this stuff in and didn't tell the U.S., the citizens of America, the voters, of what they should know before this election. That's the way I see it. And then we have the Trump supporter who just continually makes up reasons and excuses. A couple days ago, when the stuff broke about the military, I saw, in the comments section, I just saw one Trump supporter after another panicking, saying, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. It's not fake news now. He didn't say that because they're so concerned about Trump and the military. And it was just one Trump supporter after the next. He didn't say it. He didn't say it. Even though there's witnesses. We heard some of it ourselves. I don't support people that were caught. I support people that weren't caught, meaning POWs. I don't support POWs. And you could look, Trump supporters. You could comment to me all day and try to spin that into something good. But I'm not an idiot. I know what that means. I heard what he said, and he didn't just say it once. You could comment all day, he didn't say that, and then put your links. Man, half the country is not as gullible as you guys are. We believe what we see and we hear. I get it. At this point, it's disbelief. I laugh when I see these Trump supporters just constantly defending him. And then the religion. Well, he prays different, and then they'll try to quote some other scripture that somehow clears Trump. This is the way I see it. Throughout the early part of the millennium, the 2000s, there was a lot of political correctness. Maybe it has something to do with the new millennium. We're trying to be enlightened, trying to treat each other better, be more empathetic to each other's feelings, treat each other how we want to be treated. The golden rule: treat other people like you want to be treated. Do unto others. Doesn't sound like a bad thing. But there were these people that down deep, they didn't like it. They didn't want to act nice. They were angry because life gave them a bowl of lemons, and they don't want to be a good guy. They want to be themselves. They want to they want to be racist. They want to say what they want to say. And then there's part of it too, that Americans have become so some Americans believe that they are entitled to anything and everything. Because I have my freedom and I can say anything, I can do anything, I could shoot whoever, I could carry guns and bazookas and do whatever I want because I'm an American and I got freedom, and the rest of the world could suck it. Yeah. Those Americans embarrass the rest of us. Because there's a whole world here. There's a whole world. And some Americans just don't even grasp that. So what we have here now is these entitled, envious, jealous, angry Americans just acting like children. And they don't want to be told what to say, they don't want to be told to be nice to anybody. They want to be jerks. And now there's this kickback. Wherever there's any scientific evidence, there's any reason to be a nice person and try to be compassionate to other people, well, they're not having it. And that's where we're at now. It's a bunch of children stomping their feet, saying that we don't want to do the hard thing. We don't want to do the nice thing. We want to be jerks. And that's where we're at. We don't want to believe it. We don't want to believe scientific evidence. We don't want to believe with our eyes or our ears. And then they have their Lord and Master, Donald Trump, the king toddler, their poster boy for acting like a jerk. And there you have it. That pretty much sums up Trumpism, cult of Trump right there. With a big dash of racism thrown in there. The white people are the best, and this country was meant for white people, and Native Americans are savages. And that's where we're at now. And it seems no amount of evidence to the contrary. You'd think that sooner or later that Trump supporters would care about their children or the future generations, but I guess when they're at such a stage that it's just all about them and what they want to do. And it really appears that they don't even care about future generations with climate change and the environment, COVID-19, the deficit. What about the deficit? Trump said he was going to eliminate the deficit. Take a look at the deficit today. He was going to eliminate that over the last 4 years. And it's not just COVID-19. It's been going up the whole time. And he was going to eliminate it. And you want to reelect him. This is why people are coming forward. This is why anybody that knows anything that the rest of America should know is coming forward right now. Because this is it. If you need to show the rest of the country who this person really is, or there might not be a country in 4 more years. That's why the stuff's coming out about the military, about Trump's true feelings towards religion, about his handling of the COVID-19 virus. People are scared and they're worried, and they're not holding back their knowledge anymore. They don't care if they're going to be called this or that, or they're going to be thrown into politics where they're not particularly comfortable. They are scared. And they're doing the right thing by coming forward and telling the country what they know. Like Bob Woodward. All right. You guys have a good Thursday.